All right, the first thing that I put on the agenda is regarding this pull request that implemented prefetching for ranged requests, or did a whole bunch of work on that, but was eventually blocked by the OSD's inability to do remote reads from EC pools in CLS, but that's since been fixed. I don't have a lot more to say about that, and Or's not on the call, but I just wanted to re-raise it.
Which issue? Because yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I'm late.
Hi. First topic on the agenda is the prefetch for ranged requests that Or did a lot of work on before. I raised a related topic in the CDM about push down for S3 select, but
okay, got it.
Think that we could make some more progress on the prefetch if somebody's willing to do a rebase and give it a try.
Got it. Yeah, that seems worth doing if it can now work.
Yeah, it turned out to be surprisingly complicated because of compression and encryption, but he worked through all that stuff. It was just that one final piece. All right, and I'll hand it over to Soumya for the next topic.
Thanks, Casey. We wanted to check about the cloud transition to the Nova MCG over Azure namespace store. So currently the transition fails because Azure has some restrictions on how the object name should be, and it cannot accept the hyphen. So Nova is not able to translate those attributes to Azure backend, and hence the transition fails. So in order to address this, Kyle, he suggested that Microsoft does some mapping, as mentioned in the link in the Etherpad, which may not be the right way to do, but at least it's like a workaround which probably Nova can adopt to transition these S3 attributes. So they were not willing to do it for all the providers, S3 providers, but they can make an exception for RGW. So if the object is coming from the RGW client, they may agree to do this mapping. But in order to have this behavior by default apply to all the objects coming from RGW, so Matt was suggesting if Nova can have a way to determine whether to do the mapping or not. So we wanted to check if we can have separate headers sent while transitioning to the cloud, which means probably, for example, which tells whether to do the mapping, map these S3 attributes or not. Which when set to true, probably MCG can translate these attributes to Azure format. Otherwise, it can just ignore the attributes and just transition the object. By default, we'll set it to true, but we just want to have a option here for the users to choose if in future needed.
I guess I'm a little confused by Nuba's stance here. I mean, we're just using S3 custom metadata attributes, right? And they don't support that for the Nuba backend?
No. Yes. Well, yes, no. They have a very elaborately theoretical motivation for this. They think again, for reasons that they feel are valid, that, although I don't, they feel that the semantics should be inherited from the backend, not from the S3 interface. So if Nuba were in front of an S3, this would have all worked. But when it's in front of Azure, it doesn't map the attributes. So we're introducing an option to sort of say that it should do that, and they would be willing to follow whatever our policy is.
We shouldn't really know about those mappings. Otherwise, if we do, we don't need Nuba.
Again, so one way or the other. I mean, yes, agreed. But we are a piece of middleware, so we're not obligated to to be completely invisible. If if whatever we in the options, the moment seem to be have Anuba interpret the user agent string and decide, oh, it's MC, it's S3, it's RGW to do something, or else we introduce something visible in the protocol and say, well, this is what we want you to do, and they agree to do it. I mean, you can take it up at a theoretical level also, but it seems counterproductive at this stage. They've agreed to do something that solves our problem. There's a bit of a question. I think that's a relevant discussion about whether this mapping, syntax that something called Azure Copy does is what we should be doing here. But it does capture the attribute data, or the user-defined metadata value, keys and values, and does expose them to Azure Blob applications.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no objection to adding some request identifying RGW. It doesn't seem like it would need to be an XAMZ meta attribute, because that would get stored with the object.
Yes, that's correct. I agree with that. It should be something. Doesn't RGW have its own namespace that doesn't have XAMZ in from it? Maybe it doesn't, but I think it does.
There's XRGW or something.
Yeah, so there should be. It would be an XRGW that header. I think.
Okay. Thanks.
And we might be already sending stuff, like probably send like some HTTP params, like zone group or something like that. X zone group, XRGW zone group or something. I don't know if the transition does it, but multisite probably does it.
Yeah, at least for transition, not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, probably I could add this as XRGWX. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if it should be applied for Cloud Sync as well. Yeah, at this point, I don't have any data point, but if in future, yeah.
If we intend to use Anuba as a backend for Cloud Sync, that would make. I don't think it would hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a plan to teach. This is a segment for a future one of these meetings, or this one. But there's a plan which I hope we will work on to enable Yehuda's interoperable replication to work with MCG/Nuba. And in future, I'd prefer to use that than Cloud Sync, but Cloud Sync works.
I'm not sure if Cloud Sync is also tested with Azure namespace. So.
I don't think it's ever been tested, but this would. I mean, you're absolutely correct that this would arise there.
Yeah.
The assumption was that Nuba would know what to do, but
Yeah.
we have to go to another plane to discuss. I thought the purpose of namespace buckets was to unify the namespaces, but they don't see it that way.
Just to explain them, what's their.
We can send it to the register. I don't know.
What's the product supposed to do? The one needs quality.
It sort of leads there.
Yeah.
Is everyone here from? Yeah. Okay.
I don't think we're being fair. That's what I said to them directly last night. That's the discussion we had with Nimrod. But he's not offended by that. He thinks it makes sense.
Well, I mean, right, we're designing features to work against any S3 service, and I mean, if there's a real business case for exporting to Azure, then maybe we could develop that in RGW without needing to go through the middle step. But
it means someone has to work on Azure, and I mean, I don't object to anyone doing that if they really want to.
What's the difference between whatever? Wouldn't that be like an Azure filter driver or something like that?
Well, currently, Cloud Sync and lifecycle transitions don't go through filters or zipper. They're just exporting over S3 requests.
Oh, got it.
We've talked about this at one time. I mean, downstream's view of this, like, you know, Uday Bopana's view, and this is, well, there's got to be something. This has got to be. Nobody already did this, so maybe this is a way we can take advantage.
Well, if
I take the fifth.
Yeah, I mean, if Nuba can't do the mappings to Azure, then maybe we could only support the S3 flavor.
Well, I guess
mapped correctly.
Well, yeah, we hope so. But I mean, in this case, I mean, what we're saying is that they're willing to map it to Azure, to our specifications. They actually are willing to do that. So we're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's here to get them to do that. Yeah, I think we're now debating the marked case. You know, is it the natural default behavior to map it to map attributes or not? Or apparently they think not. But we can make it not. We can make the marked case happen. So hopefully that's useful for us, at least in the short term.
Yep. No objection there to adding a RGW specific header to all of the requests we send.
That's all I had. Thanks.
All right. Well, the agenda's open. Anything else you guys want to add?
If no one's going to speak up, they probably will.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was hoping for it. I was talking to Yehuda, who's here. You're here yesterday about that's a discussion we had about sync input provider a couple days ago. That we maybe agrees. I think still agree. Hopefully, yesterday agreed, or the day before. I think it was yesterday. Agreed that he would be willing to give a presentation on how that's currently designed, and so we can discuss.
Yeah, not right now, but yeah.
Sure.
So some future version of this meeting, hopefully, maybe let's schedule that.
Sure.
All right. I was just going to end it by letting everybody know that the RGW suite is failing on ragweed errors again. I emailed the dev list. Haven't gotten any response there, but if anybody is willing to take a look at it,
this is the Python. It's a Python import thing, right? It's not the tests are actually failing.
Correct. Python is trying to import that and failing, and so all of the tests fail, all of the RGW jobs. I've never really been clear on. Well, ragweed itself doesn't like name Rados as a dependency. I think it just assumes that it's installed, and our RGW suites are installing the Python 3-Rados package from Ceph. So I have no idea where the gap is.
Did it move? Like, did it move from, user lib to user lib 64 or vice versa? And the Python path is screwed up? I know some stuff, the Python gets installed, some of the stuff gets installed in lib64 and some of the stuff gets installed in lib. Because when I do a new install, I have to move stuff around.
I am not aware of any changes. And a data point is that it's failing this way on both CentOS and Ubuntu. And they just started failing recently.
Recently, after the switch to PyTest.
Right. Your PR did merge to Ragweed's main master branch, but it's not on any of the branches we're testing yet. Those are still going through nose.
I mean, I can take a look at the issue, but I'm trying to think the easiest way to understand what's going on would be to lock a machine and to actually run ragweed, hit the issue, and try to understand what's different about that environment than say, or what's going on in that environment, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
If you get to the point where that fails, then maybe you could poke around the file system to see where exactly the library got installed. And then you could modify your Python path to try to get it to load.
Yeah, you can assign it to me. I don't know if is the Ceph lab even capable of locking machines down right now. Just hope it. I guess I'll just keep track of when it's back up.
One day it
Yeah.
will.
Last I heard, there were more network issues, and Toothology is not accessible via SSH. But thank you for taking a look, Ali. Let me know if there's anything I can help with.
Yeah, I will stay vigilant on the Sepia channel. There was one quick thing I wanted to mention. It's that we're looking for Google Summer of Code and Outreachy projects. I don't know if we have anything RGW related that we're thinking of, or past initiatives or projects that never got done, but we have about 3 to 4 weeks to get projects in. So if anyone has any thoughts there, if not, this is just a PSA.
Thanks. I'll put some thought into that.
Yeah, and I think Yuval comes back next week, and I think he's had a few in the past that have not been, that didn't get done, and he's always been eager to mentor too.
I added a reminder to next week's agenda. Anything else for this call? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.